I'm a recent graduate from NUS. I graduated in December last year. And I was from Ngee Ann Poly Mass Comm. So, and this is Brian. Brian would like to introduce himself.
Okay. Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Brian. I'm also a Poly graduate, same as Cheryl. We graduated at the same time, last year in December. So today we're just going to share a little bit more about the university's life from a Polytechnic graduate's point of view. Maybe a short introduction about myself, and then later Cheryl will introduce herself, tell you a little bit more about her background as well. I was from Ngee Ann Poly in Mass Comm. I graduated in 2006. After that, I went into the Army for 2 years. 2008, I came out, ORD, and in 2008, I was in the same position as all of you right here, matriculated into NUS, Arts and Social Science. I majored in Sociology, and just graduated. Cheryl also majored in Sociology. I graduated with first class honors in Sociology, and right now I'm working as a research assistant in NUS. So Cheryl, why don't you tell them a little bit more about your academic background as well?
Actually, my life is very similar to Brian. I'm also a research assistant for the same professor. I graduated from Poly in 2005, so it's many years ago. No. You graduated in 2005 or 6. Oh, sorry, I graduated in 2008. Yeah, so anyway, okay, let's just start on what we're going to talk about. So anyway, first of all, we're going to talk about what to expect in university. So we would like to talk about the differences between Poly and university first. So Brian, how do you think it's different?
I think there are many differences. We start off right from the beginning. I'm sure that many of you have a lot of questions in your mind, anxieties. So I can almost imagine how you're feeling, sitting there looking at both of us, thinking, who are all these, these two graduates, talking to us. Like, do they really know how we're feeling? Well, the truth is that during our time, we didn't have this talk like what you guys are having. So I think it's really great they can at least hear from some seniors like both of us and some of the other seniors as well, who have gone through the path and have probably experienced the same thing as you guys are feeling right now. It's a sense of anticipation and maybe just wondering what to expect. Especially since you have gotten that coveted acceptance from NUS. I think right from the beginning, the thing about the main difference, let's talk about the similarities first, because off the top of my mind, I think we work, like one of the first thing that, when we come in as an undergraduate, the first thing that we realize, or even before we come in, is that a university's schedule and atmosphere is pretty much an extension of what you've experienced in the Polytechnics. Maybe can I see a show of hands who's from Ngee Ann Poly? Okay, from Singapore Poly? Temasek? Republic Poly? And is that
Nanyang Poly.
Oh yeah, Nanyang Poly? Oh, okay. Yeah, so you see, the thing about this is the experiences of a Polytechnic student are not unique, and probably the atmosphere in all the different polys are by and large the same. You have a sense of freedom, after secondary school, after wearing uniform for a major part of your life, after that transiting into an institution where you wear your own clothes, there's freedom of expression, everything, and you come into lecture and theatre and tutorial format, and then after that you have schedules which are not so regimented. I think these are the things that you can expect as well in university, and these are the things that you'll probably be very familiar with once you come into school, and you start to realize that you really have the liberty to choose the sort of days that you want to come to school and the days that you don't want to come to school. You can even expect to have things like 3-day work week, 2-day work week. And if you like this kind of this kind of lifestyle, it's fine. Just that on the days that you're in school, you'll be very packed. Now a couple of semesters where I came to school for only 2 days, and it was on the days that I come to school, it was like 10 to 6 o'clock. So it was back-to-back classes. You had to skip lunch and everything. And of course, there are semesters where you come to school every day, and it's a good spread across the weekdays. And these are the sort of similarities you're going to find in Polytechnic and university. Another thing is that what would be what you probably have to expect is also a pretty fair level of engagement, especially in tutorials. I think this is no different in a Polytechnic. I think one more thing is that as we share, right, maybe you have certain questions that pop up in your head that you want to ask us, but hold these questions first, because you can talk to us, later, and ask us certain questions. But the things that we want to share with you, I also want to clarify that all these are based on our experiences, and we are comparing with our time in Ngee Ann Poly in Mass Comm. So, by and large, our experiences as graduates are not unique, but there are slight differences, when we share about things like, the different majors and the specific details of university life. So one of the things that, you all can expect, right, is also a high level of interaction in tutorials, and not only face-to-face interaction, but interaction across different mediums. We have things like online forums. We have things like we use Skype to do not only like small group chats, but work based on Skype and do reports about such communication over these mediums as well. These are the sort of things that you would think to expect and you'll be familiar with. Can you think of anything else that you're familiar with? No, I think by and large is that the sort of lifestyle and the sort of freedom that you can have. But of course, a tip from a senior would be that I'll just call it a very cliche term, that with great freedom comes a lot of responsibility as well, and I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with being responsible. If not, you wouldn't even be here. With this freedom, there is the responsibility to choose what you want to work on and whether you want to come to school. One difference that in terms of attendance that we have in university is that if you don't come for lectures, nobody will actually call you unless let's say you're missing for a semester, okay, in a rare case. But if you don't come for lectures, you don't come for tutorials, there won't be anyone to nag at you, and to poke you, and also expect with this sense of independence, right? Sometimes the reality of it as poly students is that you might feel a little bit of loneliness as well, and I think we speak this from our experience, that the reality of it, guys, is that you all are in the minority, and you are coming into a university. A lot of you have friends, but most of us, especially for the guys, and speaking from a guy's point of view, when we come into a university, most of our friends are already, for the females are already in 2 years ahead of us because of army, and you a lot of times you'll be compelled to make friends. If not, you feel very lonely and you feel like, how come my JC friends, they all have their little cliques, but what about me, And I know Cheryl said she didn't have like time to eat alone or something like that. She didn't have such experiences.
I actually had a lot of friends when I came to uni, but that was because I joined the orientation camps. So I think one good tip for you guys is to really join the orientation camps, or join the hall camps, I think, as well. Because if you join a hall, then you can meet a lot of people, and yeah, you can have a lot of friends. And the same for orientation as well. Because during my batch, when I first came in, I was from Ngee Ann Mass Comm. There was only 6 of us who came in, so 6 of us have different interests. And in NUS, you have to take a wide range of modules. So there are some modules that I didn't have my poly friends with me, but because I went for orientation camps, I actually had this orientation friends, my orientation group mates, who actually accompanied me with my modules. So I think it's a very useful thing, because then you have like group mates when you have to do projects, and yeah, that comes in very useful. You don't need to scramble to find a partner in class, things like that.
Yeah, one thing about it is that even though you have this free sort of a lot of free time, right? When you come to the university, one key difference you'll find, right, is that you wouldn't be in the same class. Most of us, in fact, everyone here will have different schedules and different classes. So expect that you will not be in one class with one cluster of people that will be with you throughout the different years. And that's good and that's bad. The bad things, of course, sometimes you feel that you're always alone. But the good things is it compels you to make friends and talk to people and engage with different people and just be friendly. Yeah, so I know it's a bit different from a polytechnic where you start and there is a set class, most of the time from year 1, and maybe at a year 3 when you do your specialization, you will, split up. But right at the beginning in the university level, you'll be all having different schedules already, and even though you might meet someone in a module, in a tutorial, chances are you will not see the person in your other classes. Yeah, and this is especially so for the first up to the 3rd year. Yeah, unless you are in majors which are smaller. But for big majors, like for majors with a lot of people, like sociology, where we are from, there's a huge group of people, so you see a lot of unfamiliar faces every semester. Anything else, Cheryl?
As in differences?
Yeah, differences or...
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Up to this point, you have any questions? No questions? Maybe later as we share more, you'll have more questions about, class. No, we have a lot more. I think one of the other things that we want to share also is that in the university, expect a lot of communication, not only in verbal. I know in the Polytechnic there is a lot of interaction in terms of face-to-face, a lot of presentations. In the university, the emphasis is really about your writing skills. So if you love to read, if you love to write, you're in the right place. And if you don't, you have to learn how to do it, because by and large the majors that are available, probably with the exception of majors like economics, you have to do a lot of readings. And we have experienced case where I have to do modules and I have to read like 5 books. Okay, we're not talking about readings, just like real thick books for one module. And that is just the primary readings, and of course there's secondary readings as well. So I expect a lot of writing, a lot of reading. So you'll be, be pushed in that area. But it's going to be very fun, because you will learn how to communicate, and you learn about skills which are important for the working world. Because what I believe is that in the Polytechnic, many of us are trained in terms of presentation, in terms of speaking and engaging people in teams, and these are the sort of things that will put you in good state and advantage in a university setting. This brings, we also want to share with you about certain tips of how to do well in school. And one of the things is to leverage on the soft skills that you have learned and you have gathered, and sort of experiences that you have in the Polytechnic. Because I know in the Polytechnic we are forced to work in groups. A lot of times you meet freeloaders, right? And you meet people who are not pulling their weight. And freeloaders are going to be around as well. So the sort of experiences that you have in Polytechnic will teach you and will put you in a good advantage to engage with them and to get them to work with you. So don't think that when you come into school or come into the university that you are at a disadvantage. I totally disagree with that, because from our point of view, I think Cheryl will agree with me, is that we have a lot of things and Polytechnic students have a lot of things to offer and put on the table. Yeah. Okay,
sorry, we are running out of time. So if you'd like to ask us any questions, you can ask now, if you have any questions. If you're not, maybe you can hold the questions to afterwards where we have lunch and you can actually ask us the questions then. Okay?
Yeah, just feel free to talk to us, you can find us later. We are just glad to just share our experiences with everyone. Maybe later during the presentation you have more questions about the different things to expect as well. So we hope you're going to have a good time today and to find out more about your admissions.
Hi, good morning. My name is Paulin Straughan. I'm Vice Dean for the Faculty of Arts, and I look after undergraduates. I thought that you would like to hear from one of your seniors who has come successfully through NUS. Now, before I go on to some of the highlights of what the faculty can offer you, I thought that I would address your main concern first. From the past orientations and welcome talks that we have for poly students, you had one primary concern. You realized that you have to do something called, what is it called? Qualifying English test, right? And all of you are going like, why? We speak English. Why do you subject us to this test? The difference is that the A-level students come in with GP. So if they get a GP grade of at least B3, we excuse them. But anything less than B3, they will also have to sit for the qualifying test, simply because without good writing skills, it's very hard for you to do well at the university. So I thought that we would address this immediate concern at the very beginning, and I've invited my colleague from CELC to give you a very brief rundown. Don't worry if you miss some of the information. I saw her slides. There are web links for you to go back and review them at your leisure. So may I please ask you to welcome Ms. Louisa from CELC.
Thanks, Paulin. I'm here to share with you the qualifying English test. It's a test that's set by the Center for English Language Communication. And what it is it's an English language examination. Okay? Let me show you what it looks like. Here's a format of the QET. It's a very friendly test. All right. So we're looking at the content of your work, the organization of your essay, and the language of your essay. So these are three components, three aspects we'll be assessing. You'll be asked to write an essay. You are given, most of the time you're given two texts. In this particular format, there are three texts, A, B, and C. So within the examination time, you are required, you're expected to read all the texts and then to answer a prompt. Okay? So a prompt is given in question format. Sometimes you have a context statement and then the prompt question. I'll give you a few minutes to read it. It's a friendly test, right? I see some of you nodding. Yep. Okay. Now let's have a look at this. Three components: content, organization, and language. Okay. Now why do we need that? Okay. It's a university requirement for students who do not possess the necessary English language qualification. Okay. And why do you need to take the QET? It's important that the university discerns the level of English language support appropriate to students, which will help them meet language needs of content courses. Okay? So this is what the QET is all about. Okay? We would like to place you at courses that would enable you to meet the language demands and needs of your content courses. Okay? There are what we call QET band descriptors. You take the exam, and after you take the exam, the results tell us, okay, whether you'll be placed in band 1, band 2, or band 3. If you're placed in band 3, that means you're exempted from an English module. If you're placed in band 2, that means you need to take ES 1102, and that's a module for English for academic purposes. Okay? It's a writing module. Band 1 is also a writing module, but it's a basic English course. So if you're placed at band 1, if your results tell us that, all right, you have to be placed in band 1, you take basic English first. After you take clear basic English, then you take ES 1102, which is intermediate. So if you're placed in Band 1, therefore it means that you take 2 modules of English, and that means 2 semesters. Each module will have about 48 hours in a semester. It's a writing module. So what it does is, it then gives you, all right, the skills, or helps you develop the skills in writing that will help you write requirements for your content courses, for sociology, for psychology, for communication. Dates to remember: July 16 is the QET, all right? And you need to register for the QET from July 6 to 11. If you register on July 11, that would mean that you will have to sit for the next QET in November 2012. The results are published on July 12 by 4 p.m., okay? And on your test date, you take with you your identification document that has a photo in it. It could be your IC, it could be your passport, it could be your student card, all right? And the results are released on the 1st of August at the CELC website. Okay? You have any questions at this point? Questions? Please? Anything you need to clarify? Okay. Yes.
What about those who are enlisting in this year?
Well, we'll pray for you when you're there. And then we will welcome you back in, I guess you'll be coming back in 2015, right? 2014. Okay, 2014, not too far. So somewhere in May in 2014, we will welcome you back, and I will speak with you again. And at that point, I think then you register. Yeah, you don't do it now. Only those who are matriculating in 2012 will do this.
Any other questions? If in case you have any other question and you need to clarify any item, anything related to the QET, I think what you need to do is just click the CELC website, okay? Just Google CELC and it leads you to this site, okay? Once you're in this site, it's easy to navigate. On the left-hand side, you see qualifying English test, okay? And then from there, you walk through the sites. Okay, that's it. Thanks very much.
I believe only in arts do we invite CELC to come, because we know that it's important for you to understand this. I promise I won't be long-winded. I think I'm supposed to let you go in like half an hour. Why do we have this little welcome specifically for our poly admits? Simply because we recognize that you have choice, and that's a good thing. Right? And we also believe that in order for you to make an informed choice, we have to make sure that we plug the gaps in knowledge base. So in the next 30 minutes or so, what I'm going to do is simply highlight the strengths of an FASS education and allow you to then pose questions, because I believe that most of you would have received offers from the other universities as well, right? Because I understand, I think, first of all, your place at FASS is a very precious one. As most of you know by now, it's very difficult to secure a place here, right? You are at either the top 5% or so of your cohorts if you make it to FASS. This is a good thing, I think, because it shows that when you come in, the quality of Polytechnic diploma holders who are at NUS is extremely high. And that's why when we are asked to showcase poly students, it's very easy for us to pick names because they all do very well. Well, the bad thing, of course, is we also believe that university education should be accessible to all who want it. So it's a constant struggle, right? How many of you have offers from other universities as well, and you're waiting to make a decision? May I just have a show of hands? Okay. So for those of you who are die-hard FASS fans, good for you. You have made the right decision. You're smart kids, and I'm sure you will be well rewarded when the time comes. For those of you who are still trying to figure out whether you should go to Bras Basah or Jurong or come to Kentridge, hopefully within the next 30 minutes I'll be able to address that question and that concern, and you will have a very definitive decision by the end of this morning, right? How many of you came for the NUS Open House FASS talks? All right, so some of you didn't. I'm not going to repeat that again. Essentially, I just want to give you, the kind of information that will be useful for you when you're trying to make a decision to invest your life in for the next 3 years. Now, I've always told Polytechnic graduates that the trajectory for you is not a clear one. For the JC students, it's very clear. With an A-level certificate, it's very hard for them to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, right? So when they're coming from JC, inevitably they should come to a university. But for the Polytechnic, it's very different because at this point, you already hold a diploma, which means that you should be going out to establish your career. And when you don't, there is an opportunity cost involved, right? So the opportunity cost is not one that you should trivialize. So when you choose to come to a university, whether it is at FASS, NUS, or elsewhere, you must think very carefully. Don't come to the university just because you think that you should, because you already have a diploma. So you can go into the workplace and find a niche area for yourself. Come to the university if you feel very strongly that we can add value to your training. And the adding of value is not, again, it's not a trivial kind of assertion. I can't promise you that, we will add value to every single one of you, because it all depends on what you're hoping to achieve. For Brian and Cheryl, I can see their transformation, and many who are in that category, because the Polytechnic diploma had armed them with a lot of practical skills. So when they came to university, they augmented it with content, and they filled it very well. And when you do it well, Polytechnic students compare very favorably against the other undergraduates that we have, because they have the practical augment, and then they have the content knowledge, so they learn to dig deep when they come. And together, when they leave, they are able to position themselves very well, right, in the new economy. So in the choice of a university education, for you then, there are two broad questions. The first is, why am I going to go to university? And that's an important question, because that will set the platform for whether or not you will do well. Because if you're coming to university just because you don't know what else to do, then I think it will be harder for you to dig deep. But if you're coming to university because you're very, very clear that you want to learn more, because you need to learn more, then I think it will be easy for you to get motivated. Because as Brian had alluded to, university education is not easy. You are independent, you're expected to be independent, and you're expected to be able to drive yourself. And all you have to do is miss one single beat, and you'll find that, your grades will be dropping. So it's very important for you to be self-motivated. So that's the first big question. Do you really want to come to university? Then second question is, given that you want to pursue a degree, then which degree? It is important that you choose a subject that you are passionate about. Because if you are not passionate about it, then again, the opportunity cost for you particularly would be very high, right? So I hope to answer that second question for you today by telling you what FASS can offer you, and then you can compare, right? What are the other options available to you, and then you move on from there. If you're comparing FASS education with the humanities and social sciences offered by the other two local universities, then very clearly I say to you that there is no competition, right? Because FASS is the only comprehensive faculty in arts and social sciences in Singapore, and we have the largest humanities and social science faculty. Altogether, I think at any one time, you have the option of 19 majors to choose from, offered by 16 or 17 departments, because some departments offer 2 or 3 majors. And at any one time, we have a staff strength, PhDs of about 400, 3 to 4, high 300s to 400 staff. So there's a lot of resources that you can count on, okay? When you're choosing an education, looking at the choice of degree programs, looking at the choice of majors is just one part of the equation. The other part would be to scrutinize the curriculum, because the curriculum is the contract, right? The graduation requirements is what we will take you through to fulfill in the next 2.5 to 3.5 years that you are with us. So you have to ensure that the curriculum is rigorous. If it's not, then why waste your time and money? Okay? So scrutinize the curriculum, and you will find that in FASS, we've put a lot of thought into what a graduate should have gone through in the BA as well as in the honours program. FASS has the largest intake of all faculties at NUS as well as, I think, in all of Singapore, because we are committed to fill every single place that we have, because we know that university places are a scarcity at this point, and we have yet to be able to meet demand. So every year we are committed to take in as many students as we can pack in. This means that we have a very large intake, right? Now, all of you have been, before you chose FASS, you would have looked at the indicative grade points to see whether, with my grades, can I make it to, all these programs, right? The telltale sign, of course, also is how large is the faculty. The larger the faculty is, the easier it is to get in, right? It's a common economic kind of model. So FASS takes in about 1,500 every year. Last year it was about 1,500. Even at 1,500, we managed to attract the very top students. From the Polytechnics, there's no question about it. Even from the A-level kids, they have to make, for last year it was like ABB, which is not easy, looking at their H2 subjects, right? But even with that kind of grade band, differentiation is still evident. When we have 1,500 students joining us every year, the needs and aspirations of these students vary quite significantly. Some come in just wanting to do a good BA to prepare them for the workplace, right? Because they are many of the poly admits would be in this category, right? We have many poly students who came in and they didn't want to do honors. They just want a BA because they have a job waiting outside for them, and they just want to get that degree to augment, the information gap, the training gap that they have. Then there are others who come into university and they want to make use of every minute that they have here. So these are the ones that want to overload on everything, right? And they want to stretch themselves because they believe that this is the last chance that they have, all right, to be able to do everything, all the learning that they want to do before they go out to work. Most students are the ones in between. They want to study hard, but they also want to be able to enjoy what they're studying. Very important in the equation is, do I get the best of both worlds? In short, come to NUS, but at the same time be able to go overseas for 1 semester or 1 year, right? So we try to build all these in to a differentiated curriculum. So that's why when you come to FASS, the problem really is choice. First, you have to choose what major you want to specialize in. Second, you have to choose what kind of modules you want to fill your breadth space with. Third, then you have to choose, do I want to be one of these double major, double degree, minor major options? Okay? So make sure that you know what is available for you, right? And of course, in everything that we do, our students are the most important. This is always a concern with students who are looking at a top-ranking university like NUS, because the worry is, well, NUS ranks very high. Is it because the staff and the university over-focuses on research? Then what about the students, right? So at FASS, we are committed to always put our students first, especially our undergraduate students. So everything that we do centers around the needs of our undergraduate students. We have excellent teachers here, so you don't have to worry, right, about being second-class citizens here. Because FASS is part of NUS, that's the beauty of being in the best, most comprehensive university in Singapore. When you're an NUS student, regardless of whatever faculty you come from, you enjoy everything that NUS has to offer. So while you may be an FASS student, you'll find that our students will also be learning together with students from all of our other faculties, and you will also be going to the other faculties to take modules that are offered by our partners. For those of you who are, let me see what my next slide is. Sometimes I go ahead of myself. Let me follow my slides, otherwise I'll ramble. All right? At the open house, you saw our rankings. A student wrote in to ask me, is ranking important? Right? How important is ranking of the university when I choose a university to invest my undergraduate studies in? I think that it shouldn't be the only factor that propels you in your choices, but let me just highlight some of the benefits of being well ranked, right? If the university ranks well and consistently ranks well, then it benefits the graduates, because like when Cheryl and Brian go out to either go on to graduate school or to move on from their first job as a research assistant, they will come as graduates of NUS. So if NUS is ranked one of the top universities in the world, they will never have to justify where they came from. Like now, when we search for employees, potential employees, either in the administrative ranks or when we're recruiting graduate students or when we're recruiting academic staff, we always look at which universities they come from. And we generally do not hire, especially in terms of academic staff, people who come from lower-ranked universities, right? Because where they come from suggests the quality of their education, it suggests the caliber of their candidature. So the second important aspect of ranking, first is that you have that mark with you to validate your degree. The second important aspect of a good ranked university is we attract top quality staff, right? So people apply to teach and to do research and to work at NUS because NUS is ranked one of the top universities in the world. So this means that we are able to attract top talent globally, bring them into the classroom to teach our students. And the third kind of trajectory from having a good rank in terms of, the reputation of the university, of course, is that we attract good students, right? So we attract very good students. Undergraduate education at FASS is very competitive. This means that when you have good students coming into the classroom with you, it will only make you better, because you'll be sitting in a classroom with colleagues who are like yourself, like-minded, diligent, and who will be able to push the boundaries when it comes to learning. Of course, then some smart students ask me, then in that case, isn't it better that I go to a not-so-good university? Then I'll be the smartest in the class. This is the whole philosophy of, small fish, big ocean, or big fish, small pond, right? Well, it depends on what you want for yourself. But you're so young. Don't get too big too fast. When you get too fat, you get bloated up, right? Then at some point, the pond will be too big, too small for you, and then by the time you're ready to jump the pond, you'll be too fat. You won't be able to get off, and then when you jump into the ocean, you sink, okay? So when you're young, you should have the tenacity to want to push boundaries. When you are young, do not be afraid of challenges. When you are young, the whole life is ahead of you. So you jump at opportunities so that you can jump further, right, when the time comes. How are we organized? We have many, many modules. That's one of the difficulty of giving a talk about arts, right? Because you come into arts with a lot of confusion. It's very easy for you when you go into businesses. So my guess is for most of you, if you have options, if you're comparing us with someone else, my guess is, if I had to guess, you would be holding offers from that will cause you to ponder, right? Probably business school from SMU or NTU, probably communications from NTU, right? Because these are more specialized kind of programs, and they do look attractive because it's so straightforward, right? So when you enter into business or a very structured program, you don't have to think too much. You just go in there and you just go follow the jumping blocks because the curriculum is very structured. In arts, we are purposefully disruptive because we won't be arts if we are structured. Like the reason I was late coming in this morning was because I did some student consultation. Exams are next week. So 3 students came in and, they were asking very nitpicking kind of question like, how come A is not equal to B? How come B is not equal to A? And I'm like going, let's not talk about small little things. They're not important. Let's talk about the larger consequential effects. And we are dealing with medical sociology, right? That, they were asking me little questions like, is transsexuality medicalized? Because now you need, a doctor's approval, psychiatric approval before, you can go for a sex change operation. So, but to me, it's like, no, that's not important, all right? Let's talk about the larger effects of medicalization. When you medicalize a condition, what does it mean for the patient and what does it mean for the community? And so we discuss how, if I have a condition today, so let's say I'm hyperactive, which I'm not, don't worry. Okay? If I'm hyperactive and I manage to classify that as a medical condition, what are the benefits of that? Well, the benefits then is you cannot blame me for not performing well at my job because I have a problem. I have a medical problem. So then it's easy for me to excuse myself, all right, for non-performance. The other benefits could be that because it's a medical condition, I can go see a doctor, the doctor can make prescriptions, and because it's a medical condition, probably my insurance would pay for it. But is there a shortcome to medicalizing conditions? Oh, of course. Once it medicalizes a condition, then the problem is assumed to be within me. But what if the trigger was from my environment? Then no one would know, because once you medicalize a problem, only the physicians are given the right to investigate. So then I told my students, let's look at attention deficiency in young children, right? Now, when I was your age, younger than you, before you were born, of course, there was no such thing as ADHD in children, hyper attention deficiency syndrome. Children are either good, obedient children or bad, spoiled children. But now, almost 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 friends I have will tell me that their child is suffering from ADHD, right? So it's a more frequently occurring problem. So what is the problem then? What is one problem when you medicalize a condition like hyperactivity in young children? Then we look at the problem as if it was an individual problem. It's a physiological problem. We resolve it by addressing the root cause of the problem in the individual, and that is usually medicalization through drugs, right? we give them, we administer drugs to calm them down, to mute their reactions. But we don't pay attention then to the social conditions. So many times a child misbehaves not because they have hormonal imbalance, but because of a dysfunctional family background. Right? Sometimes a child misbehaves because our educational structure is not conducive to training curious young children. When you pack 40 of them in a classroom with one young untrained teacher, and when the children start to react and to challenge authority, you label them as attention deficient, you miss the point. Right? So if you're curious about answering these kinds of questions, arts is the place for you. Because we look at social issues, we look at social problems, we look at economic problems, we look at political problems, and we always ask, what is the root cause of this disruption? Only when you understand the social structural constraints, then can we think about innovative interventions and public policy. So that is what an arts training is all about, right? You must be curious, you must be excited about the world that you live in, and you must be very interested in the real world problems. And then when you come here, we will equip you with the skills to analyze these problems and to come up with meaningful interventions that we hope can resolve the gaps in our society. So which discipline is best predisposed to answer that kind of questions? It has to be a multidisciplinary approach, because the real world is not governed by, though we sometimes believe that economics is the almighty power, right? But it is not. Okay, it is not. Real world problems are caused by multidimensional constraints, which only a multidisciplinary training can help you to see the picture holistically. That defines the arts curriculum. The best education that you can get from us is when you spread out. You take a little bit of psychology, you take a little bit of philosophy, you take a little bit of economics, you take a little bit of history, so that you will learn how to look at your world that you live in through the different disciplinary lenses. And they are different. For example, if I look at the issue of low fertility, right? You look at it sociologically, I will be focused on one set of questions. If I look at it historically, I will be focused on another set of questions. If I look at it economically, I will be looking at dollars and cents and opportunity cost and so forth. So every time you ask a different question of the same social issue, your eyes will be diverted to a different set of possible causes and answers. So you can see how the more questions you ask from different angles, the more information you will be privy to, right? So that defines the arts curriculum. 50% of your time will be spent outside of your major. And it's not just outside of your major in FASS. We also ask students to go out of FASS. Go to business, go to science, engineering, and so forth, and see how engineers look at the issue. Then 50% of the time, you get to stay in your comfort zone. That is your choice major. And there, you enjoy depth learning. So our curriculum has the best of both worlds. Breadth for exposure and depth for training in one major. Where would you choose your modules from? Very difficult sometimes. Every semester, we offer about 300 modules, 250 to 300. It's a nightmare, right? So I'm fighting with the registrar's office all the time for exam places, classroom slots and all that, for our classes. But it's important for us to always offer a breadth of modules because we have so many disciplines for students to choose from, right? But there is not total chaos either. You look at the module offering. Sometimes I get confused myself, right? Just one title after another, and one whole list, 200 some of them. But they're organized into three key pillars, the three strengths of the faculty. Arts and social science, right? So we have the traditional humanities faculty, the division. Our largest division is the social science division. And I would say that our most important division is the Asian Studies division, because Asia is where it's going to happen. Anything that happens, in the world will be triggered off by Asia in the next 50 to 100 years, because we house the two large powerhouses, right? We have China, we have South Asia, India, and of course the potential of the Southeast Asian region has not been realized yet. And once that emerges, Asia will shape the world, and Asia will set the trajectory for world decisions, for global decisions. So to prepare you, we do a lot of research on Asian societies in FASS. We have a whole division that's focused on Asian studies. So let's take a look at that first. If you come to FASS, you can choose to major in one of these Asian studies majors, right? I know some of you look and you go like, so boring. It's not. One of my greatest regrets is that I stopped speaking Chinese after A-levels. I passed, I think I got a B or something. But then, you see, after that, my world became a very monolingual world, right? Because I went into academia, I did sociology, and then all I speak is English now. What a severe handicap that is. Because whatever is happening in China now, I have to understand through a translator. And when I meet with my Chinese counterparts, you should hear the conversations. Nothing comes out from me, a lot of And then to make things worse, when I'm doing field work, right? How can I ignore the Chinese population? Not possible. So when I do field work and I have to speak with Chinese-speaking respondents, I feel such pain because I cannot articulate what I want to say. I can understand, but I can't say it, right? So don't be like me, okay? It's not too late for you. You know what's going to be important for you in the next 50 years in terms of, capitalizing on growth in the global economy. China is a big powerhouse. Anything that happens in China will trigger, excitement in the stock market worldwide. So that's what Chinese studies does for you, right? You can major in Chinese language, Chinese studies. Now, Japanese studies is always a hot one because of K-pop. No, not K-pop, J-pop. See, we haven't caught up with K-pop yet, but J-pop, and of course, the historical place of Japan in Southeast Asia and East Asia is very important. So Japanese studies, I think more for the pop culture, students are drawn to it because with all these Asian studies majors, there is a language component. So especially if you love languages, right? So our students who major in Japanese studies have to know Japanese language because they have to spend, I think, either one semester or 1 year in Japan. Fun, right? Yeah. Malay studies, Southeast Asian studies, South Asian studies. Humanities, language, literature, theater studies, history, philosophy. All cornerstones of understanding human civilization, right? Very important. And sometimes, like for example, recently the newspaper did a write-up on poly students, and it featured Brian and Cheryl. Okay, and the question that the senior reporter had asked, do poly students take anything else besides economics? I said, of course. Poly students who come to us are brilliant. Okay, so when they come, many of them invest their education in things that they did not learn in the Polytechnic, which is humanities. That's a smart decision, right? Because why do you, when I interview poly students, I always ask them, I always tease them, especially those from Ngee Ann Polytechnic doing communications. I'll say, why don't you apply to Wee Kim Wee School? And then they'll say, oh, we have considered it very seriously, but we think that, there's a lot of similarities from Polytechnic diploma, so therefore we want to do something that's different to fill the gaps. And that's a smart way, all right, of shaping your tertiary training. This is the largest division that we have because it houses some of our most popular majors: communications and new media, economics, geography, political science, psychology, social work, and sociology. So one question that students always ask, if I go to NTU or SMU, I get admitted directly into a major, right? Some of you may already be holding admissions to sociology, do they do it? Social science in SMU, or admissions to psychology in NTU. But then when you come to FASS, you don't admit me into a major, right? We just say, welcome to the FASS. And that scares you a bit. And then you go like, oh, gee, the whole reason I want to come to university is because I want to do psychology. What if I can't do psychology? Then how? My response, now everybody very quiet, right? It's like, this is the $1 million question, and she's going to give us an answer. Based on trend data for the past 5 years or more, we've never had a situation where all 1,500 new admits all want to do psychology, and as a result, bring the whole faculty down. That's not human nature, right? By and large, when we admit our students, we have enough interesting options for them to make a decision that helps us spread the students across the 19 majors. Very nicely, actually, right? How do we do that? Well, the first is we do not allow students to major from day one. Why? Because we think, how can you major in something that you have no idea what you're majoring in? That's so silly, right? How can we expect you to major in political science when you've never done political science in your life? And after that you cannot return it. So we don't do that. Instead, we tell you, when you come in August, and for those men who are in national service, to keep you alive in BMT and so forth, you just keep thinking, what's waiting for you? All right? What is waiting for you 2 years from now? A very exciting faculty and very, very pretty arts girls. Okay? That will keep you alert. My son is now in Taiwan. Which year is he in now? 2nd year of his army. So he will be coming to NUS next year, 2013. And so he went through the same kind of decisions that you are going through now. He had offers from all the universities, and the question is which one to choose. Actually, for him, it was very clear. He just wanted to do arts, right? Because he's a very humanities person. But the parents were the ones who kept telling him, you must open your eyes. You must make, the same outreach talk that I give to you, right? You must make sure that you make an informed choice. So he went through all the material, and then he has decided that he will come to FASS, NUS, right? He will come to NUS. So I'm so proud of my son. Now I can't remember what I was telling you. Oh, yes. So when you come, you don't know what you're going to, you don't know what, we have 19 majors. And even for economics, something that most of you had, a little bit of sampler in your Polytechnic days, econs at NUS is not the same as the econs that you have taken in Polytechnic. Econs at NUS is not the same, according to my economics colleagues, as JC Economics. So that's why we want everybody to go through the introductory lectures first. So in your first semester here, you will be told during the orientation talk how to secure the introductory modules to the various disciplines that you're interested in. And then, if the introductory module, which gives you an overview of the discipline, gives you the kind of excitement, that you need, then you decide to major in that discipline at the end of the first semester. Okay? Of course, there can be a possibility, right, that because 2 of the majors right now, communications and psychology, have pre-major requirements, which means that you have to pass their introductory modules with a specific grade, not a high bar, B minus, right? So we cleared that. And we agreed for very good reasons. Psychology is a very quantitative discipline. So psychology has tracked their students, and they find that students who are not inclined quantitatively cannot pass the stats modules. It's a very quantitative, psychology in NUS tends to be more clinical, lab-based kind of psychology, not as much social psychology, right? So as a result, we agreed to it because we also believe that if you choose to major in something, you should have the capacity to fulfill the basic requirements. Otherwise, you're going down the wrong path, right? We had students who, after 3 years, still couldn't pass the essential modules, and they cannot graduate. That's a nightmare for us. So when there are such very specific requirements, we do have gates. So let's say if you don't make it through the B minus requirement that psychology said, it's not the end of the world. That means we saved you, right? Otherwise, you would have gone into a major that you would have failed terribly in. And there are so many other majors, and you can continue to take some psychology in your breath or as a minor. Okay? So by and large, to answer the question, generally, most of the time, we have no problems. Students who come to FASS eventually end up with a major that they chose. We used to be like NTU, meaning before you come in, you have to tell us what you want to major in, and we admit you directly into a major, right? So in my time, I had to pick 3 majors, 3 subjects. So I picked sociology, statistics, and political science. And then I was very lucky I got all 3. But I had friends who picked 3 and got none. Why? Because it's a quota system. So once the quota is filled, that's it. The department doesn't take any more. Okay? We've done away with that because we know that it's no good for our students. But we've done away with that also because we can. We are large enough. You have to be a very robust faculty to be able to, at this point, all our departments are waiting. They have no clue how many students will come to them next year. They have absolutely no clue. All right? So what they do is we hold an open house, they showcase their strengths, and then they showcase their strengths again during the introductory lectures, and then everybody waits till the students, the new students, you declare your major at the end of Sem 1. And then departments have a good sense of how many students they have. And our departments can do that because we are a very large faculty, so the departments are large enough. They are robust enough to say, I have 10 staff lined up now to teach these modules, and if you need me to expand it to 12 staff, I can find 2 more staff. If I need to shrink my modules, no problem, we can do that. I hope that, you will not worry that when you come to FASS, you will be left hanging in midair. You will not. In fact, the problem that most of you will experience would be how to choose a major because there are so many options. So actually now, my problem with students is everybody wants to do a double, triple major, which is ridiculous, right? You come to university, you do 1 major, end of story, that's it, then go out and work. Don't stay here forever. All right? But no, because they say, oh, I love psychology, I love social work, I love, blah, blah, please let me stay. And we say, no, you can't. And they go, no, you have to let me. So we have this argument all the time. So every time a student wants to do a double major, most of the times I ask to see them first, to ask why. Your parents pay expensive fees for you to come to school. Don't delay your graduation. But because they can't make up their minds, all right? We also have multidisciplinary programs, because I told you that the way to train you well is to make sure that you are able to look at a real-world problem from different disciplinary lenses. Right now, we have European studies, but my colleagues and I are working very hard to table a new major, new multidisciplinary major for you. Hopefully, we can get that done by next academic year. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. This is something called Global Studies. Hopefully, when I see you at orientation talk, I can tell you more about it. Right? So we're continuing to work hard at bringing more majors to you. And the new majors that we bring will be multidisciplinary majors, right? To capture what is essential for you to be able to understand global issues. We have a very strong center for language studies. No one else has a language studies in their university. The CLS right now, I think they have, is it 12, Debbie, 12 or 15 languages, and they keep growing. 12, 12 right now, and they will keep growing this basket of languages, right? In order, now, you know, they do language training not to facilitate tourism. In other words, they don't like it when you go in to take 1101 Japanese so that you can go for a travel in Tokyo, you know, at the end of the summer. Center for Language Studies is very serious about their training. They train you proficiently so that you will be able to go to Japan, live there, work there, and do research there. So usually they prefer you to take it all the way, level 1 all the way to level 4, 5, or 6. All right? You see that we have, I think, quite a good spread right now. Korean is one of the hottest. We don't have Korean studies, not yet, right? But we are working hard on it. But we have Korean language. So I believe our students are there because of K-dramas. I tried to audit the class, but there's no room for me. It's too crowded right now. Okay? So I hope that most of you will try to take at least, you know, 1 or 2 modules in a language of your choice, because it's very important now. Most of you will have a chance to go overseas either for a short period in your career, or some of you may actually work overseas for a longer period, right? So having the in-house language is important. Okay? So we are all about choice. We also have depth. Depth in major, because 50% of the time you are doing your major. Also, possible option is a minor, right? Now, in my ideal world, the student should be doing 1 major and 50% of everything else under the sun, a little bit here, a little bit there, you know, because I think that's broad-based. But I don't know, in your generation, sometimes there's too much confusion, you don't like it, right? So they've come to us to petition that, so noisy, so difficult, can we have minors? So we say, all right, what kind of minors? So we launched multidisciplinary minors. And then we find that students say, oh, multidisciplinary, so scary. Can we have disciplinary ones? We said, all right, fine. So now every department also offers a disciplinary minor, which is something that, again, you see, it is about choice at the faculty. We don't prescribe only 1 or 2 options. We believe that when at any one time we have about 5,500 undergraduates in FASS. That's a lot of undergraduates. All the brains in the world are here. All the brains in Singapore, housed here, you know, in this corner of Kentridge. So we have to cater to your needs. And there are different ways in which undergraduates can learn and fulfill their potential. And our job at the deanery is to create opportunities. Because at the end of the day, is one option better than another? Is a major in economics more lucrative than a major in history? Is a combination of major minor better than major major, better than major nothing? No. There is no qualitative tag to the options. The options facilitate your learning. At the end of the day, the ones who will be most attractive to graduate schools and to employers will be the students who have done well. Very simple. A bank would hire a first-class honors in history rather than an economics graduate who barely passed their modules, right? Because the whole point of an FASS training is we train you so that you will be trainable when you go into your career. We don't train you for a career. That's not our mandate. We are not a professional school. We don't train engineers. We don't train dentists. But we train broad-based intellectuals who are able to go out there and pick up the requisite preparation for their respective careers, because at the end of the day, you will not build bridges, but you will decide where the bridges must be built. You will not build the MRT systems, but you will decide how to attract ridership, how to ensure that workers are adequately motivated to do good maintenance, etc., etc. So you will be there to manage human resource, right? And for you to be able to do that, employers want you to be nimble. So if you are able to go into a bank, then the banking industry will have the option of knowing that, this is an arts graduate, so very versatile. We can place them in global affairs, customer relations, whatever, and we just have to give them, the training that is requisite for their portfolio. And you will be able to learn well. Why? Because you're used to it. You're used to learning from the different disciplinary lenses. Okay? This is the part that I think will be very exciting for some students, but scary for others. Right? Here is the part where you are forced to go outside of the faculty. I think art students are very fearful of going to science. Right? They go like, that's the whole reason why we went into arts, because we can't do science. So please, don't send us there. But you have to think, you have to understand how the scientists work. Because at the end of the day, when you understand how they work, then you can manage them. Right? If you don't understand how the engineers think, you will never be able to manage them. So we go into their modules, and don't worry, these modules will be very special modules that are created for students with no background in the disciplines. So similarly, we receive engineers, we receive science students, we receive business students into our modules as well. Okay? We recognize that your diploma is important because you have spent 3 years achieving that. We recognize that your diploma has value added to your training because we have studied your diplomas. You notice that arts does not give advanced placement to specific diplomas only, because when we surveyed the poly landscape, rather than go into recognizing specific diplomas, which some universities do and some faculties do, that's not important to us. Because just as the way employers, future employers view you when you graduate from FASS, when we assessed the poly diploma, we were not interested in what specialization you had. Instead, we were interested in the larger questions, the quality of training, the curriculum, and how rigorous it is. And we saw that the polytechnics have really leveled up very well, regardless of the different diplomas that they graduated students with. So on that principle, we recognize all the 5 polytechnics and their respective schools. So this means that we treat everybody equally. Every poly student will have 20 MCs credited as advanced placement, which is equivalent to about 1 semester's worth of work. So instead of staying 3 years, our poly students usually just they are able to achieve their BA in 2.5, and they are able to achieve their honors degree in 3.5. So they save 1 semester, right? So what do they do with this 1 semester? Well, it means that you go out to work earlier. Some of the students then decide that they're going to make good use of this semester and spread out the modules. That's fine, all right? That's your prerogative, okay? Now, why do we not recognize more? Because we have had requests before, for example, from Chinese studies, diplomas, communications, and so forth, and dutifully we would send them to the respective departments. But so far, the departments have come back, right, when they were studying the very specific diplomas that came to their attention, with the consensus that what we teach at FASS is distinctively different from what you went through in the Polytechnic. So for that reason, we want to make sure that when you invest your career with us, we will train you well. And you will notice that the advanced placement does not it's not allowed in FASS. We are very strict about that. It is not allowed to touch your major, right? So you are excused from one module from science and technology basket, general education, one module, 4 MCs usually one module, okay? One module from the breadth requirement under the university level requirement, and under the unrestricted elective, which is this basket where we allow students to do whatever you want, okay, as long as it adds up to 28 credits. You will lose some credits from there. You notice that none of the advanced placement will come from your major requirement, and none of it will replace the faculty requirement. Because that's why you came to arts, right? So that we can train you well, okay? So we trimmed from the supplementary part of the curriculum, okay? I told you earlier that my vision of the ideal stay at FASS really is to choose one major that you're very good at and then play with the other space that you have. So Brian chose sociology, Cheryl chose sociology. Did you all have a minor? Good children. So just sociology and a whole mess of other things, right? See? Then first class, second upper, good children. So if you follow my advice, then you'll be good children like them, okay? But there are some who would say, no, I want to do a double major. Fine. Go ahead, do a double major. Stay a little bit longer. Then there are those who say, no, not enough. I want to have 2 degrees. Then we say, fine, do 2 degrees if you want to. And then there's another option where it's called a joint degree. Now, this is worth it, right? Here is where we partner a top university overseas. We are very conscientious of one thing right now. My team and I, my undergraduate studies team, we are focused on one mission right now, and that is to grow more exchange places for our undergraduates, because we want to move to a point where every student who wants to go overseas will be able to do so. And it's very attractive because when you go overseas on on an exchange program, you don't have to pay the foreign university's fees, which is very expensive. You pay NUS fees, and the reason we can do that is because we receive their student in exchange. All right? So all you have to do is take care of your flight and living expenses, which is expensive. So we also have grants to help you take care of parts of that. All right? So our mission always is to ensure that as long as a student has earned a place in a special program, they will not be deprived because of financial constraints. We try our best to augment. Okay? So a joint degree for us would be with a partner university overseas, and you get to spend half of your candidature here, or maybe 2 or 3 years here and 1 year on the other side. Right? Fun, right? Huh? You get the best of both worlds, okay? And of course, you can also do a major-minor option. How many of you have already signed up for the double degree options? Okay. If you have not, that's all right, because we have 2 rounds of intake. The first round is upon application, all right? The second is after you've been here for 1 year. And by that time, you should have a better idea of how well you like that particular discipline, how well you're doing. And if you feel that you can manage it, then you can apply at the second intake. So these are the structured double degrees. We also design double degree for students who have unique interests. So for example, a student who is very interested in life sciences and sociology, right? So he matriculated, did his life sciences major, found that he did it very well, came over here, did some sociology, and found that he really enjoyed it. He applied to do a double degree. We facilitated it with our counterparts in science, and that student graduated last year. It took a little long. It took 5 years. It takes longer when you do a double anything, right? He took 5 years, but he scored a double first. So he had first class in life sciences and first class in sociology, right? So those are the special design ones. These structured ones, because they're more common, economics is very popular. So as a result, we find that if there's enough students to take it up, we will structure it, okay? So this is how you will apply. Do I recommend it? Again, I say it's up to you. If your interest drives you in this direction, then this is an option for you. All right? But my advice to a new student who is coming in is focus on one major and focus on doing it well. Because once you do well, all the options are available to you thereafter. Rather than come in and say, I want to double this, I want to double that, and then you find that when you come in, it's not so easy. And you find that you're struggling all the time. Then you've ruined your education experience at the university. So come in first with the idea of choosing a major which speaks to your passion, and with the concern that university education is not just about getting A's. It is about growing the entire individual. You see, at the end of the day, university education is not the end of your training. Especially for a diploma holder, your education training could have ended already, right? University education is the beginning of the next cycle of your young adult life. It really is the launching pad for your career. So how do you do well in your career? There are two important criteria. If you lack one of them, you will never rise beyond your limited capacity. The two criteria. First, you must have a strong knowledge base. In other words, you can't go out there and shoot off hot air, because at some point, the hot air will just get everybody else mad, okay? So you must have content. You must have the capability for resolving complex world issues. So training is very important. So that's where the academic part comes in. But the second criteria is just as important. The second criteria is you must have the means and the facility to communicate your genius to the rest of the world. If you cannot communicate, you would have failed. No one would listen to you, no matter how smart you are, no matter how great your idea is. How do you hone this communication? It's not a classroom technique. You can't take a course, though we try to have communications courses and so forth. But the one who is able to speak to an audience and to capture the attention of the audience would be somebody, yes, who can speak well, who has the experience of making pitches, but also this person must have had a well-rounded training, would have been involved in student organizations, have the experience of running events, be able to understand and appreciate the constraints and concerns of different segments of the population, of the community. So I'm talking about EQ, soft skills. So when you're at university, it's not just about earning A's. It is also about growing soft skills. And you grow soft skills when you're able to participate and get involved in the opportunities for, the student clubs, the association, the causes that the students organize, and so forth. All right? So make time for that. Okay? If you straitjacket yourself to just all these double degree options, double major options, sometimes you end up with no time at all to develop your other interests. And that would be a total waste. Okay? These are some of our partners for the joint degree options. University of North Carolina, ANU, Waseda. Hopefully we'll be able to grow this list at least while you're with us. All right? And then we will make announcements when the openings, application deadlines come. So, for example, the one at UNC, students would spend one semester or sometimes 1 year at UNC, and UNC students will come here, for a similar exchange. And when you graduate, you would get a degree scroll that is endorsed by NUS and UNC. Right? These are some of our multidisciplinary minors. We will talk about these more during orientation, but now I just want you to know that they are available. Multidisciplinary minors means that you collect a minor that is thematically organized from modules that are hosted by different faculties different departments within the faculties. Okay? Even in the minors, we try to build in an exchange option. So currently, in terms of exchanges, we have worked out an agreement with the University of Toronto for these 2 minors. So if you're doing a minor in, for example, the Renaissance, right, you'll be able to spend 1 semester over at the University of Toronto. Okay? In addition to student exchange programs, we also run very active summer schools, as well as field studies. So this would take you, these are opportunities that would take you out to Southeast Asia, for example, for a few weeks, so that you have a chance to study the cultures, right, in the host countries, okay? For those of you who have not applied to USP, I encourage you to do so. Some of our strategic partners, Happy Children, and these are our summer programs. Okay, I'll let you take a look at them. We also run small group classes. We call them freshman seminars. Only 15 students to a group. See this one? That's mine, right? I just ran it this semester. What do they do? 15 kids, 1 of me, 15 of you, sit around and we talk about love. This allows us to bring small group teaching into a very large faculty. Yeah? So take advantage. So we have huge lectures, but we also have very, very small seminars. And this will help you, thank you, feel a sense of belonging. Okay? And as you grow older, in your 2nd year and your 3rd year, look out for research opportunities. That's the beauty of being in a comprehensive university which values research as well as teaching. So here you can partner the professors who have big projects, and you can serve as a research assistant, or you can earn 4 modular credits as a member of the research team, all right? Coming from the Polytechnics, you're used to internships. You know how important they are. We continue that trajectory by growing internship opportunities for you, and we continue also with career guidance. We are a very large faculty. We have 400 staff, but we also have and we know that students have a hard time sometimes navigating through a curriculum that's full of choices. So we have a very strong admin team to look after you. I think at any one time we have about 200 plus professional administrators. So Devi is one of them, and she's dedicated to outreach and communications, right? Corporate communications. Now, FASS, NUS is a very old university. FASS is a very old faculty. For example, my own department, I think, was founded in 1965. Social work will be celebrating, is it 60 years or 70 years? Whatever, they're old, you know. So everybody is kind of old here, you know. So the merits of being an established university and faculty is that we have very strong alumni. So our alumni come back to give of their time to our students, to also contribute resources so that we can roll out scholarships and financial support and awards for students to participate in our special programs, right? I think by now, those of you who have applied for scholarships, some of you would have been interviewed already. Not all. I think we're still in the process of the scholarship decisions, right? But this is just to give you an update. If you apply to an if you have an NUS scholarship and you're coming to FASS, FASS has a top-up. So in addition to what all the other faculty, all the other students will be getting, FASS students will get an additional 700, what we call it an overseas education program award to help pay for your exchange program overseas. And we also offer a University Town Award. Now, many of you would have seen University Town, right, during open house. If not, after this, you take a bus to University Town. It's really nice, right? We have, right now, by the time you enter, there will be 3 colleges open. USP is one. So I've encouraged you to apply to USP. Why? Because USP has core curriculum that takes up 1 year of your training, and we've looked at that curriculum. It's a very attractive one. It has small group seminars on critical writing, analysis, and so on. And we think that complements the FASS training very well. So I encourage all of you to think seriously about the USP. And the USP is also a residential program, so you get to stay at University Town. The other 2 colleges, Tembusu and Angsana, these are 2 residential colleges which are at University Town, and they have an academic component. So 5 modules, about 1 semester's worth of work, right? 5 modules will be taken if you stay at the university residence at the colleges there, and they will be used to fulfill your university level requirements. So again, nothing touches the major. We're very protective about the major, right? But the 5 modules, I've looked at the modules. Again, they complement the arts curriculum very well. They have critical writing, freshman seminars, small group seminars on topical issues. So all these, I think, will make life a little bit more interesting for you. In particular, the U-Town residential experience, I think, will transform the way you view university tertiary education. Please go to the website. I know that, because one student had asked, Angsana will be opening a second round of applications soon. I believe Tembusu may too, so you just go check. If you need more information, just let me know, all right? I'll try to connect you with those who are running the colleges. I strongly recommend it. Now, cost is an issue, of course. They cost a little bit more than the residents that we have on the Kent-Ridge side. So I believe there are also awards available, aside from the FASS scholarships, right? University Town also has their own awards, so you can apply for them to help offset the residential costs, okay? Now, FASS also has in-house scholarships. These will be available for you after you have come here for 1 semester or 1 year, and look out for the announcements when they come. All this because we have very generous, all these scholarships are donated by alumni and faculty, right? So this is our community giving back to our students, so we're very proud of them. If you need information on financial aid, just come and see me or my office. All right, we will be able to. We'll try our best to augment your needs. Now, the last slides are actually, sometimes I don't even want to go through the last slides, because the question is, what can I do with an FASS degree? And our response is, what do you want to do? All right, whatever you want to do, you can. We will partner you, because that's the beauty of a general degree. See, sometimes the response from the public is, oh, FASS, Bachelor of Arts, very general, generalist, good for nothing, right? Ha, ha, ha. Nonsense. The more broad-based your education is at the tertiary level, the more prepared you are to take on the opportunities that come your way in terms of your career aspirations. Of course, you won't become an engineer or a dentist or a lawyer, but then if you wanted to be those professions, you should have applied to those faculties, right? But when you come to FASS, you may not be a doctor, okay? I mean, a real doctor, right, as an MBBS. But you can run a hospital. Those who run hospitals, the big bosses, the one who decides which doctor gets where, who gets hired and all that, they are not MBBS, okay? You may not be a lawyer, you may not be able to fight court cases, but you can certainly be an advocate and activist because you will be trained to look at real world problems. When you go into a bank, you need not, have the kind of banking training on investments and portfolio and so forth, though some of you would if you major in economics. But many of our students who do very well in history, political science and so forth, and sociology, they're headhunted by the big banks. One of my supervisors was headhunted by Citibank. Why? Because the training is good enough for them to consider him and a few others as, I think they call them the associates. They rotate them along, on all the portfolios so that they can oversee whatever they need to oversee. And this boy was so successful that I couldn't believe it, right? I mean, he was just a kid, okay? And because he went into Citibank, I don't know how much they paid him, and shortly after he graduated, he bought a condominium, the Sierra. It was so expensive, right? But he bought it because it was a small unit. He was very modest about it. He was, yeah. I'm like, whoa! And then shortly after that, he wrote to me and told me that he's been headhunted by another big bank, and so on. And he was a sociology major, right? So so that's the kind of training that we're able to offer to you. Train you so that you will be trainable. Train you, give you the skills for learning, so that you can continue to learn for the rest of your life independently. Okay? By now, we have many graduates who have come through from the Polytechnics. So we've tried to keep track of them. This is just a few of the ones that we've managed to contact. So you see that, they just go into wherever they wanted to. You can guess, of course, that if you go into social work, then it becomes a more dedicated, focused kind of career. But the others, they just go wherever, all right, wherever their interests and the opportunities avail. So we have a lunch for you after this. We have. I think I will let Devi introduce the Polytechnic students who are here so that you can mingle. While we feed you, we are here to answer any questions that you may have. Unless somebody has a pressing question right now, I'll be very happy to address it. Any questions? Don't be afraid. No? Okay. Then you can talk to us in small groups after this. You're also invited to the FASS open house, which will be in a couple of weeks' time, 12th of May, and that's when every department will open up and they will host talks for you, and they will showcase the strength of their training, their staff, their graduate students, and their curriculum. Okay? Debbie, you want to?
Thanks, Pauline. Okay, I'm sure you guys might be getting a little bit hungry already. Now, lunch is provided. Like Brian and Cheryl, we've got 4 more students who, like them, are from the Polytechnics. And they will be approaching you guys just to chit-chat with you all. And maybe you might want to also check out with them, some of the questions that are running through your mind right now, like trying to find out, what are some of the factors that they considered when they were trying to make their decision, and maybe you should have a chit chat and try to find out more lah. So don't be afraid if they were to approach you, okay? So lunch is provided outside, okay, that entrance, that exit over there. So if you all go outside now, you all can have your meal, and at the same time, we'll have our students. Okay, maybe you all want to introduce yourselves, okay?
Hello everyone, my name is Benedict. I graduated from Republic Polytechnic in 2008. Right now I'm in my second year in NUS. I'm doing sociology. So if you have any question with regards to the course I'm doing or general questions about acclimatizing to say NUS for instance, feel free to approach me. Okay? I'll pass you on to the next person.
Hi everyone, my name is Maimuna, you can call me Mai. I graduated from Ngee Polytechnic. I was doing computing in 2009. I am doing Japanese studies now. So you have any questions regarding to my specialized major, which is Japanese studies, or the languages that you can take, the language courses you can take in CLS, you can feel free to approach me.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Mizel. I graduated from Nanyang Poly in 2007. I did biotechnology, but now I'm doing Japanese studies. So I'm year 3. I'm doing my honors thesis next semester. So if any questions about Japanese studies or about internships or overseas experiences, you can come and find me. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Melissa. So I graduated from Singapore Poly with diploma in biomedical science, and then I'm now in my second year for communication and new media. So yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, if you've got any other questions relating to curriculum matters, which you think the students can't answer, we've got our Vice Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Professor Paulin Straughan, and two of my other colleagues from the Undergraduate Matters team, Miss Karen Tong and Miss Eunice. And I think they should be. Oh, there they are. Okay, maybe. Okay, Karen. Okay, that's Karen and Eunice. Okay, Eunice, both of them are handling undergraduate matters at the Dean's office. So if you've got any questions, you can also approach them. Right? Okay, so thank you all for coming down. I hope the talk was very useful. Any questions, do approach us. Please feel free to ask us anything at all. Lunch is provided. Thanks.